No messing around today, let's get straight into it. Today we are looking at probably the most exciting boot that I've ever had on the channel, the most interesting boot that I've ever had on the channel. This is not a regular X19 Plus, this is not an X19.1 you can buy from the stores. This has come from BC Boots UK, and I cannot thank these guys enough. If you don't know them already, go and check out their webpage, their Instagram, and you're gonna find out why right now, because this pair of X19.1s have come from them, and they used to belong to James Rodriguez. That's right, the Colombian and Real Madrid attacking midfielder has worn these boots. These are one of the pairs of boots he took and wore at the Copa America, which is incredible just to have them in my hands. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through these boots and go through all the differences that James Rodriguez has on his particular pair of boots. So let's compare it to the 19.1 that us mere mortals can buy and see what James Rodriguez likes in his boots. From a purely aesthetic point of view, while these are on feet, it's actually kind of hard to tell the difference, and that's the point. That's exactly what Adidas are going for here. They want everybody, you and me, to think that Rodriguez is wearing exactly the same boots that we can go out and buy. So they make them look as close as humanly possible to the regular retail version while giving him all of the customizations he wants. So we'll start with the most obvious customization on the boots. If you look at the regular release X19.1, it has a one-piece upper with this tongue area here, obviously being connected to the rest of the speed mesh and having a lacing system just running through it with a dual lace hole setup because it's a one-piece upper. If we compare that to what you get on the James Rodriguez boots, so this is obviously a very personal thing to him. There's no one-piece upper on this boot. This is a standard tongue. It just looks like the one-piece upper. So what Adidas have done is they've basically taken two extra strips of material, put them down into the sole plate of the boot in order to give you a tongue type feeling, a tongue type look. So you're still going to get a relevant amount of kind of lockdown or foot security from the way that tongue is secured either side. It's almost like a little tunnel that you put your foot through. So that might be the obvious change, but it doesn't stop there. There's changes to the upper, to the padding, to the fit, to the sole plate. It's all different in this boot. We're going to get into all of that, but we obviously also have to point out the fact that we've got two little extra designs that have been added. Colombian flag with James and 10 on that heel, and then we also have here the logo and Salome, I think that's how you pronounce it, which is his daughter's name, on this boot. So we'll keep working down the boot from top to bottom, and a customization that he doesn't have that I might have expected, although it will be influenced by this tongue construction, is that he doesn't have the lowered claw collar design. So this is basically exactly the same as the retail version, although obviously without that one-piece upper, this is not going to get kind of in the way quite as much, but everything around there seems to be pretty much the same. The shape may be the same, but there is an adjustment to the inside of the boot around the top lip here. So around here, this is normally an exposed layer of basically plastic as you go around. That's what we get. This has actually been taped off, and in a manner that doesn't look particularly well finished, to be honest. It's just angles of tape that have been put on, heat pressed in, I believe, to cover up all of that area that runs around the boot, and that runs right into the side of the boot as well. So that's a change from what we would get, and as you keep moving down, next to some of that tape, you do get the Adidas sizing label. So this is again not the regular sizing label. If you ever get this on a pair of boots, you did not buy them from a regular store. The chances are you bought them from BC Boots UK because they're basically the best and biggest retailer for this that I know of for sure. So you can see in here, it says, only the best for the athlete, made in Germany, athlete services with the address and then the size as well as the codes. So these will have been, well, they were 100% custom made for Rodriguez's feet, but they still follow an approximate size 9.5 UK. I'm sure they fit closer to his feet than just a regular size 9.5. So still in the heel area, James has actually had one of my favourite things about the X19 range taken away. The padding in the back. So you get these two pads in the back here, which are little triangular pads with grip dots on them that grip around your heel, and I think it gives the X19 some of the best heel lockdown in the business. Rodriguez, he's had them removed. So he has a much lower amount of padding, a much thinner amount. There's no grip dots in there, and it's a different liner material as well. It's just a little bit plusher, a little bit nicer in the actual liner. So it's a thicker, nicer liner with way less padding. And this comes about for two reasons. The first reason being they're custom fitted boots. He doesn't need something that's going to be super aggressive in terms of padding to lock his heel in, because the boots are sculpted to his foot. So what's the problem? And then also the boot as a whole has been made much wider. This is far wider than what you're going to get from a regular release. Now admittedly mine are a size 8 and this is a size 9.5. But side by side, you can see that there is a serious width difference that would not drop the boot. That would not have come from just going up a size. So he obviously has a wider foot. The heel area is much wider, and that I think is why he's had that area customed in the back of the boot just to accommodate a wider heel. So moving down the boot, we still haven't got to the sole plate. There is yet more changes to the upper. There is more padding in the forefoot and toe box area of this boot than you're going to get from a regular release variant. Put your hands in and there's just a more padded feel to the upper. But the upper material, especially on the outside, is actually exactly the same. So it is still a speed mesh upper with a grippy coating. It feels identical, but on the inner with the padding there's just more. So I'm assuming that's a combination of comfort and also a touch on the ball thing for James. Like he just doesn't want quite as barefoot a feel in that area, and he wants to be more comfortable. Maybe it's protection as well. Maybe he feels like he's more confident when he has that little bit of extra in there and the boot's not quite so thin. Next up, we're not going to the sole plate. We have more upper changes. Now this is something that I'm sure is not a request by James himself. This is something that Adidas have done that is going to make a lot of people very, very mad when I tell you what it is. And it is an extra piece of reinforcement that runs all the way around the front of the boot here. So it's a thick plastic coating basically, and as I said, it's reinforcement, which means it's there to improve the durability of the boot. This is not going to affect touch, feel, or performance. I believe this is here because Adidas don't want these boots or any of their boots to fail while they're on the feet of their pros. There's nothing worse, there's such bad press if players running around in the middle of a massive international tournament, the Copa America, and he ends up with sole separation, or the boot splits or something like that. Look at what happened to the Under Armour Magnetico Pro. That got such bad press and people were worried and scared about buying it because they were worried it was going to rip and tear. Imagine one of the biggest players in that tournament having his boots fail on him. So this is on there to prevent that happening, which is frustrating because if that's what they have to do to just increase the durability and to be completely sure, and it's not something that we get pretty much at all on the retail versions of the 19.1 or the 19 Plus, are we being cheated a little bit out of some more durability from our boots? The insole that came in the boot is actually identical to what you're going to get from the X lines. It's exactly the same, there's no changes. However, it's very unlikely that he will have even bothered with these insoles at all. Almost all pro players have custom insoles that almost always have some kind of carbon fiber insert in them that's been molded to their foot. So yes, they get all the good stuff. So this has probably never ever seen the feet of James Rodriguez. It's just what is in the boot. Underneath the insole though, things get a little bit different. They don't have that regular inside that you're going to get from the X line, and there is a white thick plastic that runs the entire length of the boot. So it's like a plastic board that's been put in there for reinforcement, and it does mean that the sole plate is a little bit stiffer than what you're going to get from the regular release variation, particularly in the midfoot. I can sense a difference there. This isn't the same as what a lot of pro players have on a lot of pro boots, which is an extra, it looks the same, it's this white piece here, but this is more of a foam. This is there for cushioning and comfort, something else that almost all pro players get that would be nice on a regular release retail variation that we're not lucky enough to have. This is for stiffness, this has structural properties. And then as you reach your hand down inside the boot, I'm sorry I can't show you this, but there are grooves that have been cut out of this material, of this plastic material. So there's four plastic grooves down the inside of the boot. They are here, 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 and here. So the chances are that because of the increase in stiffness due to this plastic, those grooves are in there to provide flex points. They're fairly deep and you can feel that they've just been routed out. There's even like raw plastic on either side of the grooves. So those are possibly there just to maintain a level of flexibility in the forefoot that you don't get in the midfoot because of the extra stiffness. Then flipping the boot over, you can see it's identical. The stud pattern is exactly the same. The stud shape is exactly the same. There has been no modifications made at all here. It looks exactly the same and it's going to perform exactly the same way as what you and I would get. So that's also interesting to know. The material also the same. The heel counter is exactly the same. There's no changes here to anything. So I am going to put these on very carefully and I am not going and playing in them or kicking a ball. You can buy these from BC Boots UK. These are still for sale. They're on their website. Jump on their Instagram, have a chat with them. Really awesome site, awesome product, awesome guys. But I couldn't have a pair of boots basically with my name on them and not put them on. So yes, they are too big for me, a size and a half too big anyway, but immediately the noticeable feature is the extra width through the heel. This would be awful for me to wear. There's just way too much room. There's extra room in the midfoot, there's extra room in the toe box. It just doesn't fit as tightly and as snugly to my foot as the regular release variation would. I do enjoy the extra stiffness through the midfoot, just having them on feet, it feels pretty good. And the extra bit of padding is nice, but it takes away from the feeling that you want from the X as a line. So, and the heel liner is simply worse, basically based on my foot type. So it's very cool, but would I wear this, even if it was in my size, over the retail version? Probably not. Okay, wait, this should be super interesting because considering all of the modifications on this boot, particularly that sole plate one, you would expect this to be a lot heavier. And honestly, in hand, it feels significantly heavier than my X19.1. Now, a couple of things. This is a size UK 8 because it's mine. These are a 9.5. These are heavily used and these are lightly used. So that's going to affect it overall, but I think this is going to be a big enough difference. I genuinely genuinely have not weighed them before this point. So we're going to do this live and we're going to experience this together. Starting with my X19.1, 197 grams. So by modern day football boot standards, very light. Then we put on the James Rodriguez 19.1, 252 grams. If somebody released a speed boot at 252 grams in 2020 and was like, here you go, general public, we would all lose our minds. However, one of the best players in the world, like he is genuinely that good, and he's just whacking an extra 50 grams on his boots because that's what he wants, which I think to a degree proves that weight isn't everything, and at the same time maybe proves that the speed boot isn't actually the type of boot Rodriguez wants to wear. It's just the type of boot that Adidas want him to wear in order to shift more units. Let me know down in the comments what is your favorite thing about this custom James X19.1. What would you take from this and put on your own boot if you could have a custom boot from Adidas? Again, an enormous thank you to BC Boots because this has been amazing. I love the fact that I even have these in my hand, never mind get to review them for you guys. And most importantly, get subscribed, because this is just the first in 2 parts, because next up I have a pair of, that's right, a little tease, a pair of Puma 1s belonging to a certain Argentinian. But that's all from me here at BootWizard today. Have a good one, and we'll see you soon.